I want to welcome you to the show, and also let people know that you and I are dear old friends.
Yeah.
We met at Sundance, I think, right?
Yes, quite a few years ago.
At the Music Lounge,
Uh,
and
yeah.
I was so enthralled by you because you do so much. Um, and acting your first love?
Yes, yes.
How did you
Okay.
get started in this business?
Uh, well, my family are artists in the sense that they're all musicians. So I kind of grew up with a lot of music in my life as well as dancing and I took a lot of Irish dancing classes, ballet, tap, gymnastics, and that just kind of goes hand in hand with acting. Actually, my sisters are very good singers, play several instruments, but I just couldn't play an instrument. So I had to find my own path, and that was by using my voice. And when we were young, we grew up in a small town in New Hampshire that
Mm.
had, basically in New Hampshire, a lot of the people had second homes, and they were from Massachusetts and New York. So during the summertime, the population would double. And we had a lot of kids in that area in the summertime, and we kind of started our own theater group and would perform for all the adults, whether they wanted to watch us or not.
A forced audience.
Yes, and it was actually really good. I wish we could find some videotape of that, but we did comedy and singing and acting out, and we'd planned for months to get it all together.
You know, the life of an actor or actress is not an easy one because you go on auditions and you're told no all the time. In fact, someone once told me that an actor is a professional auditioner. And when you get a yes, it's just, kind of icing on the cake.
Yeah.
Tell me about your first paying gig. How did it feel to kind of get cast in something that actually paid you?
Wow. Well, because I was dancing and I was singing, well, I didn't really sing, but I was part of that singing troupe. There, sometimes you get like little bits of payment, so to speak. So it just got more, which is always nice. But then I've been offered projects, which I just love the project and I love the storyline. And there's a thing called deferred payment, or you can come on as a producer and then you make money if it makes money. And when you really believe in a project, you can do that. So yes, it's always exciting to get that big first paycheck. I would say the biggest paycheck I ever got was from modeling. But modeling doesn't have residuals. The nice thing about acting is all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll get a paycheck like, wow, it's great. It's like surprise. It's like getting, Christmas
Yeah,
or Hanukkah.
is it hard? When producers, talk to themselves and say, well, we've got this blonde coming in, and having a certain look, having a certain style, is that good or bad in this business?
Well, you want to actually more like be a chameleon because you want to be able to transfer yourself into whatever they want. But on the other hand, you are your own product. So you want to be able to have a lot of tools in your toolkit to be able to, obviously I'm blonde, but I can also be brunette. I can be a redhead. I can shave my hair. I can wear wigs. You want to be able to transfer yourself to what you think they want. So many times when I'm up for an audition, I will do my homework. I will do the research as much as I can possibly find out about the person or product that I'm auditioning for. For example, I was auditioning for the part in Lost as Claire's mom. Claire was the girl that was pregnant in the TV show Lost. Well, the show was pretty new out, and I hadn't had a chance to really. Back then, we didn't have these ways like Netflix to get caught up. So I basically called everyone I knew that had watched the show and tried to find out as much information. And I showed up for the audition looking as much like the actor as I could to play her mom. Long story short, when I auditioned, they didn't have me read any signs. They didn't have me, sides, excuse me. They just talked to me, and it had been a few days before Pearl Harbor Day, and they talked about Pearl Harbor Day, which I'm a volunteer for Pearl Harbor, and that was it. And then they called me back in, and said, we'd like you to do this part if you're available. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. It's fun. So that's what I do. I do my homework.
You're very busy, so you do your homework well, because I've noticed that, you know, there's projects coming out in the next couple of months and all of that with you. Being a working actress is kind of a really cool deal, because there's so many actresses out there that don't get recalled, or they don't get hired and they lose hope. And that's a shame sometimes. What advice do you give to women and even men who are into that, like, little, we'll call it the desert of no job?
You have to have thick skin. Let's just start with that. And you never think of it as rejection. It's training. Every audition you go on is training. Just because you go in there and they don't choose you doesn't mean you weren't fantastic. Doesn't mean you weren't fabulous. It just means you may not have been exactly what they were looking for. They are looking for you. There are over 300 casting directors in Los Angeles. They are looking for you. But because when you go in there, if you're not exactly what they're looking for, you just keep trying. You just keep going. And the thing is, you'll get better at audition. Auditioning is a talent. And some of the biggest actors out there that I know personally hate auditioning. They hate it. They can't handle that whole getting up, and you're getting up in front of a group of people and being naked. I hate to say that, but you're being so transparent, and they're saying, we want it higher, we want it lower, can you give us more? And then you leave and you beat yourself up afterward going, what did I do? What could I have done better? The fact of the matter is, you probably couldn't have done anything better. You just don't know what they're looking for. And after the casting directors take that little film and send it off to whomever gets to see it, there's so many people that look at your tape that it's like winning the lottery sometimes as to if you get the part, especially if it's these bigger parts. So the fact that I am so happy with little parts, and of course there's that saying, there are no small parts, there's only small actors. Well,
And
I
paychecks.
am happy. Paycheck. Okay, the paychecks help, especially when you have a mortgage. But I am so happy with having these little bones thrown at me, a little part here and there. I am thrilled. I am so happy to go in there and give it all I've got, because for one reason, I'm a little bit older. I am not one of these young up and coming 20-year-olds that are trying to be, the next Will Smith or the next Tom Cruise or the next Meryl Streep. I am just happy to work. And I learned that from a really good friend of mine. They said, don't turn anything down. Just keep working. If they offer you something, do it. Even horror movies, I always thought, I don't know if I want to do that. And I've only worked on one or two, and they were the nicest people.
But isn't it true that if you show up and you know your lines and you do a good job, even with a 1 or 2 line part, the producers are always working on something else and they remember you, and you become friends with people that way.
That's so true. Dustin Hoffman has one of the best stories about that. When he was getting ready to be cast for The Graduate, they actually, and I'm sure you probably know this story, that they had to try and find him. He thought it was a joke. They had to go find him at college because someone remembered him. And that's actually worked for me a few times. Someone has seen me, or I've worked with them years ago, and they go, how do we find her, bring her back in? And I love those stories, because my words of advice to any actor, old or young, is that do your best. Don't cause any drama. Just show up, be on time, know your lines. And if you get cut, it's not a big deal. It happens to all of us. I have a really good story. I had the most amazing scene in a movie, and I was in San Francisco, and I go to the movie theater, and I was so excited, like waiting for this movie to come out. I'm in the movie theater by myself with my popcorn, and there's a few people next to me. I'm at a matinee at like one of those 2:00 ones. And I'm in this movie. Wait, my part's coming up. Completely cut. God.
Well,
but such is life. And you take that and go, you know what? I did a great job. I'm happy with what I did. And so they decided to go in another direction. Big deal. You have to really just make sure that you don't get so depressed and so down on yourself. You just got to go, if you want to do this business, if you love it this much, you have to, again, have thick skin and know that it's not rejection.
Yeah.
It's another opportunity. It is a learning experience. Take that and learn from it. I have friends in the industry that I talk to. I'm like, what do you think of this? I have them watch my interviews. I have them critique what I do on screen. And I said, what do you think? How could I have done better?
Mm-hmm.
And I take those notes and I'm like, okay, I will use that. And I love having people that you trust, that that's part of my team. Tell me what I can do. Tell me what you think.
It's nice having a support system that really works for you and people that you can trust, because sometimes when you're asking for a criticism or feedback, you want the brutal truth sometimes. And you know, people that sugarcoat it are just trying to spare your feelings, but as an actor, you really do need to hear all of it.
Right. It's the absolute truth. And I love when my friends say, you know, you did great in this. We wish you had done that. We would have liked this. But then sometimes things are just completely out of my control.
Yeah.
I'm like, you know, I was looking that direction, but they edited a different way, or they did something else. And that was completely out of my control.
Let's talk about the #1 movie streaming right now on Netflix. It's The Wrong Missy. David Spade is in it. Laura is amazing in this movie too. You have such a great cast of characters, you know, with you. But what I was going to tell you was, this is one of those parts that come by where even though your part isn't huge, they talk about your character through almost every scene of this movie.
I love that.
So, I mean, you're in every scene.
Technically, I love the little innuendos where they're did you see the surfer go by?
Yeah, people have to realize that's not a virtual set behind you. That's your house.
This
I'm so jealous.
I am on the beach here. Yes, you and the surf is up, so you might see a few surfers walking by. But yeah, those are not extras. Those are not paid extras.
Yeah, wow.
But anyway, back to the movie. Okay, first of all, to be able to film here in Hawaii and in the most amazing spot down in Waikiki was awesome. It was amazing to work with. Look at that cast. You know, between Lauren David Spade, Molly Sims, Rob Schneider, I mean, just on and on and on. And of course, I have to mention Jackie Sandler. She is the bomb. She is so funny, so talented. She can dance, she can sing, but she is so sweet and so much fun. But yes, back to the movie, to be able to work on something, even that small part I had to be able to talked about. And there was actually a few scenes that were edited out that I wish had been in there. But we had an amazing fight scene. Of course, Jeff Pearson, woo! Shout out to him.
Jeff Pearson plays your on-screen husband.
Yes.
And you know, we know him from a lot of his work in soap operas and theater.
Yes.
He does a lot of theater. What an amazing actor he is. And I guess every day for you, working with somebody like that is an education too.
I loved working with Jeff on and off screen because we had so much time together, and we talked about his kids, his marriages, his you can edit that out if you want. We talked about everything. But what I really enjoyed about Jeff was all his experiences with all of the different soap operas that he'd been on. He is just a wealth of information. And what a lot of actors can learn, that I have learned, is that learn from the people you're with. That they are amazing. He's got years and years of experience, and he allowed me to just ask him anything. He had advice and tips, and just hanging with him was an education. And I hope I get to work with him again. He was so much fun. And I have to say another thing about Jeff. There's that scene, I love that guy, that he does, you know, over and over and over. And he is like so on it. And he's got his lines down forwards and backwards, and they changed it up. You know, Adam Sandler loves to live on the edge, in my opinion, and he sometimes will say, throw it, you know, that at the actress. Actually, Adam Sandler wasn't on the set when I was there. He was on set in the beginning. And it's amazing with technology today, he could be in Los Angeles and see everything that we were doing. So that's really fun. You can actually direct a movie and not even be in the same state or the same country. Yes. So he was able to see what a lot of the stuff that was going on, or make adjustments or whatever he wanted. And working with the director, Tyler is Adam Sandler's nephew. Tyler is a Harvard graduate, so creative, so amazing. I loved working with Tyler. And as a director, he was so giving. He's like, okay, can you do this? Can you do that? And I'm like, yeah, Tyler, you want me to scream, shout, jump up and down, do a handstand? I'll do it. But I love the fact some directors are not, how do I say, some don't talk at all.
Yeah.
And then you have to try and read their mind as to what they want. Other directors scream and shout and have everyone on edge like that on set. I don't like those sets. And then there's other directors that just are so calm, and they are so confident in what they do that they just come say, we'd like this, we want that, we'd like to get this shot. And that is Tyler. Tyler, I can't wait to see all the other films that he's going to do, because he was such an amazing, fun director to work with.
Yeah, it looked to me, you know, and I get the feeling when I watch films how the cast is interacting with each other. And it seemed to me like everybody loves each other on this particular shoot.
Well, a lot of them have worked together on so many films. And so I felt, in a sense, even though I had worked with some of them before, kind of the newcomer to the team, and they were kind and fun and cracking jokes. Oh my goodness. The thing is sometimes the show is behind the camera. What these guys do. So there was a scene where, because I'm a former Miss Texas, and they wanted a lot of hair, big hair, a lot of makeup, that type of thing, to play this character. So I had to have that big hair for hours, and with the humidity in Hawaii, it would just tend to drop. So they ended up just keeping my hair in rollers and trying to just, a couple of times I laid down on the floor and they were just spraying.
Yeah, I've got a wonderful shot of you laying down on some carpet while they're spraying your hair with some kind of holding gel.
Isn't that funny? Like I said, a lot of the times the funniest stuff is behind the scenes. But yeah, the spray upside down, great technique to use if you want that big 80s hair or whatever. But so there's a scene, so they're trying to tease my hair to get ready to go back to set, and David Spade walks by and he goes, you gotta make it a little higher.
It's gotta be at least taller than David.
He may not be very tall, but he makes up for that in personality and
well, I've interviewed David a couple of times, and people think that he's just kind of snotty and stuck up, but he's really a really funny and giving kind of actor too. He is just a really nice guy. He
works hard, let me tell you. I noticed too that he was watching a lot. He really wants, it's his, he is the star of the movie, him and as well as Lauren, but he's the big star. He really cares what's going out, what his product is going to be. And I love that. I love the fact that he was watching just everything going on. And to my knowledge, he was on set every day, whether he was actually being filmed or not. What that tells me is that he really cares as to what is going to come out in the final finished product, especially because his name's going to be on it. And that's important. You'd want that with anything. I'd want that I'm my own product. I want to make sure that what I do is to the best of my ability as well.
Well, the other thing I noticed about the film, and I was very happy about, because it is a hard thing, is when you have an actress like Lauren who is nuts, just completely nuts in that character. David, played the straight man most of the time. It wasn't his type of comedy that we're used to. So this is a wonderful role for David.
Yes, and for him to just hold back, that's a real artist. To be able to hold back and let someone else just go crazy, go for it. That's an actor giving, and being able to, like, it's like a tennis match, to be able to let her just do all her. I mean, look at her, what she did. She's
Yeah.
got these crazy eyes, and she's nonstop. That girl
This is
worked
a
hard.
this is a movie that you're going to want to see again because it is that funny. You don't get it all in the first run through. You're laughing so hard that, and it's physical comedy, it's verbal comedy. It's just a nicely done adult movie that will knock your socks off. It'll make you laugh.
Yes, and especially at a time like this during the COVID-19, when everybody's inside, you know, you need a little laughter.
Except you're outside in the beautiful beach in Hawaii.
Yes, I'm quarantining here. It's been rough, but somebody's got to do it.
But your next projects, I mean, you've got some interesting stuff coming up, and like you say, it's great to be working, and it shows that people appreciate the professionalism that you have.
Well, a couple of these projects that I'm working on, or currently working on, I've been on for like 4 years.
Yeah.
Several of them are waiting for funding. Some of them have just, I hate to say, some lawsuits and things are happening that, which, that happens, or rewriting scripts. And so I've got about 4 or 5 projects that I'm very excited about. We'll see what happens. I think now that we've been through this whole COVID-19, a lot of people have been home. So I think people are ready to get back to work and get back to filming and doing what they love. But in the process of this time being home, there's been a time to reread and look at things and do a lot of rewriting. So I think as soon as the green light is go, we're going to see a lot happening here.
Well, I'm honored to have you as my friend, and I'm honored to have you as one of my guests on the show here. Thank you so much for your time, Arlene, and what a beautiful background that is. That's just I'm jealous because I have brick wall and your poster. That's all I have.
Well,
all right,
Tony,
sweetheart.
Anytime I love to talk stories. So anytime, any movie you want to talk about, or acting, and that's really fun to. And I feel that even though I may not have the most experience, I love giving advice to any young or mature actors as well, because you can't give up. If it's your dream and your passion, you don't let anything hold you back. And rejection is not negative. Rejection means there's always another opportunity for you to audition for something else.
And that's a great attitude to have in this business. Again, thank you so much, darling. And
thank you.
And we'll catch up after this podcast gets aired.
Yes, be safe, and everyone out there, please be safe. This will hopefully end soon, but most importantly, take care of yourself. Don't put yourself in any predicaments. Always wear your masks and be safe out there.